Alright, brothers, welcome back. Today is December 13th. If you do remember, I did say that this was going to be the last IdleOn efficiency review of the year. So we're going to review Griffin's account. Griffin writes us today. He says, I need to know how to improve my damage and where to focus to progress efficiently. And I think we can help him out with that. So with this video, please do comment below if you've had your IdleOn efficiency reviewed. That way I can put together a compilation of all the good that we're doing for the community. And then I will have that video out just in time for Christmas. So again, if I have reviewed your IdleOn efficiency or if you've gotten any kind of help from this series, please do drop a comment down below. That way I can, put them all together and I'll make a nice video for us for Christmas. But I'm already rambling. Let's get into it.
You gotta just press record.
Alright, so for Griffin's account, he wants to know how to progress efficiently, and more importantly, he wants to look at some damage. So we're going to jump in here. I'm going to get my Camtasia out of the way. So starting off, stamps. Stamps for damage is going to be kind of important, especially when you're just starting off. It's where, if you've listened to me talk before, everything compounds. It's a snowball effect, where when you eventually get to a point, the damage just cascades, where that 2% or that, 20% base damage becomes the difference between an extra 10 damage, and then, a 2% increase becomes the difference between a million damage. So coming through here, Suckafu, that's not going to help you out. Avast, Yar Stamp, Steve's Sword, these four down here in the bottom, definitely going to increase damage. So capital P, everybody move it. So a quest, we have a drop from just a mob. We have another quest, and then obviously 7-figure follower, which I normally I don't recommend, but if we're talking about increasing damages and all its sources, these four down here in the bottom left, very important. And then stat graph stamp, because it does increase damage, because a stat is a damage source. Scimitar stamp, not too bad. I mean, level 20, right? So we have the sword stamp, and then we have the scimitar stamp and the longsword stamp, as well as the battle axe stamp. Out of the four of those, I guess the five of these, 1, 2, 3, 4. I just lost 5. So out of the 5 of those, the 2 axes are going to be your best bet when we're talking about damage, just because we're talking percent, not just base damage, and percents for the most part are going to see you get higher returns. So if you're talking about increasing damage, maybe get both of these bad boys up to level 30 and then start putting some points into your base stat stamps. So your luck, your wisdom, your strength, and agility. So other than that, stamps across the board, kind of low, brother. Would love to see you get them up to level 30. I just did a stamp overhaul today myself to push north of 3,000. So not bad, but definitely room for improvement. So we should look at that. Alrighty, so we're looking at the forge. Nothing crazy. So we got some void, we got some dementia, we got some copper. We got a couple missing. What's going on there? So we are 10 out of 16. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6 that we don't have unlocked yet. And then, good, so the rest of them are running. So we're at least, we're building up resources. So nothing to say on there. Obviously, if we're talking about, maxing, making things efficient, just keeping this in the back of your head. Would love to see these be unlocked. Obviously, money's an issue. I tend to not go super in depth into those. But another 6 spots to be making ores. And I think you're hitting 5K as far as the copper. So that's an extra 30K you could have in there right now doing something for you. And then I would say priority, priority, priority. Not so much a priority. Kind of important, but I'd say the top 3 are really where the money's going to come from. So if you're talking about being efficient, I'd look at trying to get these maxed, or at least close to max. It'd cost you, we'll call that just under 2 void to max. So if you're in world 4, it shouldn't be too hard. Good, good. You love to see it. So again, just like in all the other videos, we're talking the slower characters down near the bottom, because thread production is going to be the fastest, especially if you're trying to, level XP. A lot of people said that they didn't know is you can put all 3 applications of crafting at the anvil onto one specific thing. So you can have 3 thread, you can have 3 boring bricks, 3 nails, or you could have, 1, 2, 3, and you can spread it out that way. But if you're trying to actively pursue a certain material, you can put all 3 or all 2, depending on whether or not you're using the alchemy bubble, onto a certain thing, and it makes it faster. But love to see it. If you're going to have your God, I forget the new classes. I'm just going to call him the Bowman, the Siege Breaker. If you're going to have him down here, we might want to start looking at upping the capacity, because the Bowmen are they're just going to, chew through your thread production. But nothing to say on there. I would say overall, for our archer classes, we need to upgrade our capacity here. Other than that, it looks good. So damage, a lot of it's going to come from here, right? So let's come into Britley Spears. So we're base, I'll call it base 50. That's the highest one you've got unlocked. So talking damage, in terms of the easiest ones to get done, Maddie Stafford's going to be the easiest to level up. Since you're at the point where you are going to get, purple bargain, make sure that you're doing all the purple mage classes, all the green on your archer classes, all the orange on your warrior classes. Base 50 is a good spot to start. So I'm talking 9 levels here, 19 levels here. Save up on your green souls. And then another good source of strength is going to come from, you don't have it unlocked. Let me see what bubble it is for you. Alright, so I pulled it up for you. That's going to be your 14th bubble. This is where a lot of the damage is going to come from. So if you see Severa purple, the following, for this example, purple bubbles are going to give a 2.02 times higher bonus than what they display, which is going to be huge because we're talking 1, 3, 6, 10, and 12. So we got 1, which is your base stat. 3, not super important for damage, but an increase is an increase. And then we're also looking at, let me find it again. We're looking at 6, 10, and 12. So where do we got 6? So we got 6, again, not super important for the damage aspect. Let's see if we can't find 10. Not super important for the damage aspect. And the last one was 12. And then the last one would be 12, which is Purple Bargain. Reduces the material cost of all bubbles, which means you can level up your damage bubbles even better. So just purely if we're talking damage sense, a good goal, set yourself, try to get up to rank, what is that? Was it 14? I can't tell because the bubbles are just so skewed. I think it's rank 14 though. So across the board, a good goal to go for is going to be getting rank 14, and then going across the board and getting your 14th skill or your 14th bubble up, and increasing what your base damage is going to be for these main bubbles right down here. Other than that, same thing I tell a lot of people. You're looking in terms of most important, pushing this last yellow bubble, getting the multi-kill. Then I'd say the second most important is going to get the kill bubble. And then a lot of your guys are probably, we'll get there in just a second when we look at your lab, but getting that lab XP. And then obviously the no consume chance is great, but I'd say most important, second, third, and then fourth. Check into the vials. So just, real quick, if you're looking at damage, Bubo is going to be probably your best damage class. So there's a lot of things that we can do to level these up. Are a lot of different vials that we've not unlocked that we could get to rank 4. And then we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not gonna count that one, but 5, 6, 7, 8. Not gonna count that one. 9, 10. So we have 10. And if I jump back into my IdleOn, I go over to my damage source, which is going to be this. So we have 10, and we get 7.49% damage dealt for every alchemy vial upgraded to at least green level, which is level 4. So we're looking at 74.9% damage. Obviously, I've got mine at level 166. Yours might be a little bit lower, so let's just call it, 6%. That's still a 60% damage increase. So we're going to jump back over into here. So getting these up to at least level 4 is probably going to be one of your biggest damage sources that you can do, soon. I'm not going to say right now, but soon. And then I'm going to leave you here real quick. I'm going to go check your storage and see which ones of these you can actually level up now. All right, so looking at your storage, all the stuff that you've got unlocked is all the stuff you can unlock. But hey, Every setback may be a new opportunity. So looking at this, this is a good goal for you to be able to, push your account in a certain way to unlock the bonuses. So if you don't have bunnies, hey, what do I need to do to get bunnies? And then pushing forward and getting those. What do I need for, purple salt? Doing that. What do I need? Maybe I'm a little bit behind on tower defense. What do I need to do my tower defense? Boom, now you've got a goal, and it's a short-term, easily achievable goal. So I would say all the ones that you don't have, minus the ones that's almost impossible because it's RNG, push towards it, unlock them, get them to level 4. You got that, 60 to 70% damage increase right there. So let's go into construction. So I'm going to pause again real quick here and see what we're looking at as far as materials and what you need to do to start ranking these bad boys up. All right, so I know the main focus of this video is going to be damage, and there's still a lot of damage sources we need to discuss, but just between me and you, brother, there's a lot of, I think we need to go back. We need to reassess our priorities, and a big one is a lot of our materials are hurting, right? You had about 888,000 of the, green mushrooms. You had about 672,000, I believe, off the top of my head, copper ore, and then it kind of went downhill, the further down you went. You had one, I want to say pocket sand, I think like a singular pocket sand. So, it actually, I didn't notice that. That's cool. It actually has it right here. So you had one of those. I think now is a solid time to possibly just do a resampling. I mean, it's always a good time once you do some upgrades, once you progress a little bit, to do another resample. And I think monster materials are a big one. I think getting a solid copper ore sample going is a big one. 162,000, you might think that's a lot, brother, but I promise you, you're gonna just burn through those goldfish. Looking pretty good for the flies though. But as we come down, we're hurting. So I think now would be a good time. Punch out a quick resample, and then just go from there. Salt lick, you're doing a lot better than I thought, brother. You're already down 1, 2, 3 to the 5th level. Some of these are kind of ridiculous with their asks. It's going to cost you 56 trillion penguins. So I think you're doing it right. You're almost, you're 3/4 of the way to knocking out the bigger 3D samples. Huge one. The refinery, big one. So I would say these two, probably the biggest bang for your buck. 3D printer, let's see what we're working with here. So BM Farm doesn't have that. Okay, let's look at your buildings. Did you unlock it? No. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So a big one is unlocking that 10th slot for your 10th character. That way we can get those extra materials pouring in. We're empty across the board. So, someone down in the comments will have to let me know. It's been a long time since I unlocked the 3D printer, and I've, honestly, sorry, forgot. But I feel like you could still have these open unless you didn't buy the gym shop 3D printer upgrade. That might be the case. But I would say, Void is great. You're probably trying to, get it to get gear. In my opinion, gear outside of the last two, so the Chiswar and the Troll Armor, I'd say by and far useless, right? It gives you some defense, but then you get to the point where you're killing mobs so fast that you heal from hemoglobin so fast that you don't actually need the defense. So I would say bolstering your lower materials right now. So that'd be our copper that we need. That would be our, you don't need any of them for the other ones, but I'd get my silver up, I'd get my gold up. That's going to tie into upgrading your post office, getting more post office points, and then you can just, branch off from there. So I would say, switching those around, getting the materials that we need. So more of the green mushroom caps, goldfish instead of bloaches at the moment, and then just pushing from there. All right, let's look at the death note. So nothing too big here. Obviously, a good goal for anybody is to push, 50 base, and then maybe go from 50 base, go to 60 base, and then 70, 80, 90, 100. And it's just those, those steps, that little stepping stone, getting your account up. Shrines are going to be a big one for damage. So I can see we've gotten them split up kind of like all over the place right now. And I'm going to attribute that to when I come into World 4. I'm just going to jump to the lab real quick. Is we do not have the Shrine World Tour. And when I was at your first page on your dashboard, I saw that you only had 3 characters in at the moment. And, you know, that's honestly, honest to God, going to be, you know, a question for me is with the characters being as low lab level as they are, why are you only putting 3 in at the moment? You know what I'm saying? A good rule of thumb, and I see a lot of people did this. I did 8 just to get, you know, a lot of them done out of the way. I was busy, but the norm I believe is 6. So getting 6 characters, because 6 characters will get you to a lot of things that you're going to want as far as, you know, just account progression in general, and then damage. So you've got the big one. You've got a big one right here, the animal farm. That one's going to be huge, especially when you start to go into breeding. Right now, your total bonus is at 14%. That's great. I mean, especially for, you know, just starting out in World 4, I think you're exactly where you need to be. I think the hardest damage goal to hit in IdleOn is your first million. And then from that first million, that's where it just starts to snowpile. So that is good. Faster refinery cycles, which is great. But if we're hurting on materials, it's just going to continuously mean that we're going to be out of, you know, salts. But, you know, there's 2 ways to look at it. Either you run out of salts faster, or the refinery cycle goes slower, so it takes you longer to run out of salts. But then say goal is you still run out of salts. So I'm not going to harp on that one. No bubble left behind, probably one of the best things you can have unlocked. And then I would love to see you put 6 characters in, because you're going to start hitting the certified stamp book, which is all stamps except for the miscellaneous stamps give double the bonus. Huge, because we have a lot of combat stamps that give us % total damage, right? So if I remember correctly from your first page, which was the stamps, you had about maybe 7%. So this would be another 7% damage on top of that. And then right here, all vials and alchemy give double the bonus. And that's why unlocking Kraken is going to be so important, because now we're talking about double weapon power, those rat tails, double weapon power. There is also this unadulterated banking fury. That's going to be a little bit further away from where you are right now, but we're talking 2% total damage for each green stack, a green stack being a stack with more than 10 million items. So this is where a lot of damage is going to come from. So we may not be there right now, but believe, progress your account. It's going to take some time, but you will get there. And then if we're talking about damage, Black Diamond Ultra Height unadulterated banking fury is going to give you an additional % damage per green stack. And then there's also these bad boys. So you may not have them unlocked, but these 2 are going to be a large damage source for your account. So you're talking about doubling the top left and the bottom right card. Then we're talking about Poker Chip, which is going to give you 1.25x times more weapon power. And then there was one more I wanted to talk about, and it's the StarSigns one, but I'm thinking about the trophy and the keychains. Out of all of these 4, if you're going to unlock one, which I know it's RNG, so you can't really decide that you want to unlock this one, the Silk Road Nano Chip is going to be your biggest bang for your buck, just because it's going to double all StarSigns, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But you'll start to see why this chip is probably going to be your biggest damage source from the lab, at least. I'm sorry, the lab chips, to clarify. So let's jump back into the cooking, because we did skip that. So you're doing good, right? I can see we're, you know, kind of in World 4, but we're at the very beginning of World 4. And you're doing it absolutely right. You're starting to go down. You're unlocking it level 11, which is where you diamond plate something. And then we're going to jump back into alchemy. Let's look at your vials. Okay, so we don't have Diamond Chef open yet. It should be, I want to say it's 3rd from the bottom. So 1, 2, 3. So right here, 14. Should be Diamond Chef. So we're close. We just need 1, 2, 3 bubbles unlocked. Diamond Chef. It's going to skyrocket your cooking, which is exactly what you want. Because when we're talking damage, you're going to have Turkey a la Think. You're going to have the Octoplop. And then there's going to be one a little bit further down. the giant fig is what I believe it's called, the giant fig. So you're doing good, 22% total damage. That's a big gain for you right now. Obviously, Octoplop is good. I can see you're going after the Dango for the lower kitchen cost. I would say prioritize your cabbages, get that to level 11, push the corn dogs to level 11 as well. You might be saying, Palmer, I want damage. All that is it's giving me faster cooking speed. True, but it's better to bite that bullet now, take a couple weeks without getting any damage, upgrade those to level 11, get the faster cooking speed, and then the rest of this is all going to kind of fall into place. And that's around the time that you unlock Diamond Chef is going to be a good time to just start going down the rows and then getting all of your food plates to level 11, and then start to prioritize your damage sources like Turkey, I think. Let's jump into breeding. So if I remember correctly, you had, I believe it was 12% damage upgrades from breeding. So looking through here, I'm not going to be able to tell you, like what you've unlocked. I don't think there's a way to look it up. I don't believe on IdleOn efficiency there's a way to look it up to see which pets you have unlocked, which ones you haven't. But since you do have that open, I would obviously, prioritize splicing. So we come over to the upgrades, make sure you got the genetic splicing down, get the cost down, and then, sending the characters with those splicers to World 1. Try to push through World 1 as far as you can, get all that extra free damage from breeding, the new pets. Let's look at the arena. So you're not doing bad. I mean, you've cleared wave 20. Obviously, wave 25 is a big unlock. Wave 35 is a massive unlock because we're talking about kitchen upgrade costs being, almost cut in half. Wave 50 for the 5th pet battle slot. And then right here at wave 100, that's going to be a huge increase. Not for damage, but for account progression and efficiency, across the board. So I'm here, wave 125. It did take me a long time to get there. So I'm not going to, recommend anything above 125. But if we're talking about damage, I'd be remiss if I didn't also include wave 200 for the 1.4 times total damage. So that's all I'm going to talk about breeding. Obviously, pushing more pets, more damage. But let's look at, I wanted to look at specifically your constellations. So one of the biggest things you can do, and I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to bring up my account. So here we are. We're on my account now. So when we're talking about just disgusting damage, right? There's the Hydron constellation, whatever you want to call it, the star sign, the second one, right? This is what you start with. You got to, bring yourself all the way down to unlock it. But once we're here, we're going to, follow the linear path all the way around. And our biggest unlock, and the first one, is called the Bulwark. So we're talking 20% total damage at the cost of 12% movement speed. And remember, if you remember just a little bit further, ago, I told you about the star sign doublers. So that's 40% total damage at the detriment of 12% movement speed. That is not a bad, exchange. And then we have the Feisty. That's just a flat 12% total damage with the chip. And then the Overachiever. That's another 30% total damage at the cost of Fight AFK gain, which we don't care because we're active. So we're talking 40% total damage plus 12, so that's 52, plus another 30, 82% total damage just from these 3 bad boys. Okay? And then I'm not able to see your account, so I'm going to bring up my cards. And please do forgive me. I'm not maxed out on a lot of things, but I'm trying. So Bosses and Nightmares, that's going to be, your flat X% damage per upgrade that you've got. And then I would recommend, focusing, I'm going to go by world. Obviously a good one to have, I'm just going to cut down to world 3, is your Bloodbones. That's going to be, total damage, 15% max level. Snowman, 15% total damage. You're going to have Thermistor, which is critical damage. Dedicated Ram, which is just flat weapon power. Then we're going to come on down here to world 4. Then we're going to look at the Chalky, which is weapon power. Then we're going to come down a little bit more to the boss section. We're going to be looking at Dr. Deficus, which is 25% total damage. You've got Radiant Amarok, which might be a little bit beyond where you're at right now, but it's going to be the easiest one for you to get. We're looking at even more weapon power. And then we're looking at Chaotic Chiswar, because that's going to give you a shrine effect. 25% max level. That's going to boost how much your shrines, which the big one, the Woodula Shrine, is going to boost your damage. And then we've got the Blighted Chiswar, 7% all stats. Again, some of these might be out of your range right now, but I'm just giving you some small things to kind of look forward to possibly increase your damage. But without further ado, we're going to come down here real quick. We're going to look at your star signs, and I think you know what I'm going to say just from looking at this. We have unlocked one star sign out of all the star signs in the game. So I would say today, the first thing, looking at the constellations and knocking out as many as you possibly can, because you've got, you know, you've got level 30 on 4 players. That's 3 points just sitting there. You've reached the Valley of the Beans on at least 4 characters. That's 3 points just sitting there. Tucked away, I'm sure you have. Defeat Dr. Deficus, I'm sure you can. That's an extra 5 points. So you could get to the end of the first constellation. You might even be able to unlock Hydron. But it's, you know, putting that time, putting that effort out there and getting it done. So I would say your biggest damage sources are hidden because you haven't done the star signs. That's the biggest goal. Star signs, star signs, star signs. But I'm rambling. That's going to do it for me today, brothers. Again, please do make sure you drop your comments down below if this series has helped you. That way I can put it into the video. And I will see you guys for Christmas. Bye-bye.